Welcome to our Miscellaneous Views section. In this section, we'll be exploring a variety of different drawing views that will greatly enhance our ability to communicate complex geometries in ways that are easy to understand. We'll be exploring section views, breakout section views, break views, detail views, and alternate position views. We'll cover and practice each of those views in a separate video lecture. At the end, we'll provide you with exercises to reinforce and polish your skills. By the end of this section, you would have mastered all the drawing views needed to communicate any complex model in a drawing sheet. In this lecture, we're going to explore section views. Section views are orthogonal views. However, they show a cross-section of the object along a specific cut line. Using section views, we can go from the model drawings on the left to the drawings on the right. To illustrate how to create section views, we will make them for the following model. This model looks quite simple from the outside. However, it does have a couple of guided tunnels or holes that goes through it. And we can see those if we go cross section here. You can see the hole or the tunnel goes through the model, and then there's another tunnel as well, and they're in different colors, one in blue and the other is pinkish. We can also change the display style to show the hidden lines, and this will give us another better look on the holes that go through the model. Let's assume that our client gave us this model and asked us to create two section views along those planes, plane number 1 and plane number 2. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'll go ahead and change the display style into the original one and then open a drawing file. And then I can input the model itself, and I'll have a top view and an isometric view. And that's it for now. For this particular model, we're only going to work from the top view. So first, I'm going to make the hidden line visible, and this way I can actually see the outlines of the holes that goes inside. Now to create a section view, I can simply go to the View Layout tab and then select Section View. And this will give us few options of the cutting planes. And those are quite simple. So we have a vertical, horizontal, auxiliary, and aligned. And those small pictures basically illustrate what each of those are. So we're not going to details and start using each of them separately. For this section view, we're looking into a horizontal cutting plane. So I'm going to pick the horizontal cut plane. And down below that, you'll see an option that says Auto Start Section View. We're going to talk about this later. So for now, I'm going to check that and go ahead and create my section view. So I want my section to be like this. So I'll go ahead and click. And that's it. I have just created a section view along this section. SOLIDWORKS automatically names those sections in an alphabetical order. So this is the first section we created here. So it's called AA. However, we can rename the section from the options we have here. So I can replace this A with a T, for example. And now it's section TT. I can also replace it with more than a letter. So let me go ahead and spell that out as T. So now we have section TT. Click OK. And we are done creating our first section. Now the other section view is more tricky than the first one because it is not in a straight line. So let's see how we can do this. So I'll go back to section views, and this time I'm going to select vertical. However, I'm going to uncheck this option that says Auto Start Section View. And when I have that unchecked, SOLIDWORKS will give me the option to offset my section plane in certain ways. Let's go ahead and explore those. So let me go ahead and start my section view to pass through this way of the hole. and then I'm going to click. And now you can see I have multiple options of customizing that cut plane that I just created. And those small drawings actually give you the instructions of how to use that specific offset. So let me go ahead and select the first one, notch offset. So I'll click, and then I'll select my 3 points. So point number 1 is here, point number 2 is here, and then point number 3 is here. So now I have adjusted my section view to go along the path. For the second adjustment, or the second offset, I'm going to select the second option that says single offset. So I'll click on that and then select my first point here and my second point here. Now this is basically the section line or the section plane we want. So I can go ahead and finish that by clicking on the green check mark. And this creates my section view. I would like to have the section view the other way around, so I can go to this option here that says flip direction, and my section view will be the other way around. So I'll go ahead and click to place that. So those are my 2 section views. And you can see from the new section views, I actually have a message here. Probably that's what the client wanted us to give him. And the message says, I am becoming a SOLIDWORKS Pro. So you can write that down and give it to your client. One more point we're going to cover is creating an isometric section views. And creating an isometric section view is quite easy. You start with creating the normal section view. So in this case, I'm going to select the first section we created, section TT, and then just right click on it, and then you'll see an option that says Isometric Section View. If I click on it, the section view will automatically turn to be an isometric one. So I'm going to click OK, and that's how we make an isometric section view. If I want to return it, I can right click on it and select Remove Isometric View. So that's it for section views. While we're here, you can go ahead and experiment a bit more with creating more section views. In this section, we're going to explore breakout sections. In a breakout section view, we can cut away a portion of the model to expose the inside of it. Using a breakout section, we can go from the drawing on the left to the drawing on the right. To illustrate how to create a breakout section, we will create it for the following model. This model looks very plain from the outside. However, if we take a cross section of it, we'll notice some complex shapes inside of it. So let's go ahead and see how we can create breakout sections for this model. I'll start by opening up a drawing file. And then I'll start inserting my views. So I'll go with the front, top, and isometric views. Now those drawings are a bit small, so I'll go ahead and change the scale for more clarity. So I'll choose a scale of 1 to 3 for the front and top view. And then for the isometric view, I'm going to enlarge that a bit further, and I'll have it as 1 to 2. To create a breakout section, we can simply go to the view layout and then select breakout section. And as soon as you select that and you go back to the canvas, you'll notice the cursor changed into a pen. And now it actually asks us to create the section in which we want to look through. So let's start with the isometric view, and I want to create a section that looks like, let's say, looks like this. And when I do that, it gives us more option to specify the depth of that section cut. And I can specify the depth in 2 ways. The first way is by specifying a numerical value for the breakout section depth. And the second way is by identifying the depth using an edge. So I'm going to start with the first way, which is using a numerical value. And I can record my value here, and it's currently set to 10 millimeters. I can't really see how this looks like, so I'm going to click on Preview option, and this will show me how it looks like. So 10 millimeters is quite small. I can't see anything inside. I'm going to make it bigger. So 30, 40, 50. So I think 50 millimeters gives me a good view what actually lies inside this section. When doing this, there are no right or wrong answers for how deep you want to go with your cross section. However, this all depends on you as the designer or the draftsman who is responsible for producing a specific drawing. So I'm satisfied with 50 millimeters. I'll go ahead and click on OK. And by this we finish creating our first breakout section. Let's go ahead and do another one to the front view this time. And again, I'll go to breakout section and then specify my breakout section. And for this view, I want to have it like this. And now I'm going to use the second option for specifying the depth, which is by specifying a certain edge. And to do that, I can simply go ahead and click on that edge I want. So I want to select this edge as my depth guide. If I choose it and then click on the preview, you will notice how the breakout section would look like. So then I can go ahead and click OK. And this concludes creating my second breakout section, to which we specified the depth using an edge. Now we're going to look at how we can edit or remove that breakout section we just created. So for the one I just created, let's assume I want to change that breakout section and I want to make it bigger. To do this, I can go to the design tree and find the drawing. And so if I have the cursor on drawing view 1, you'll notice a square pops up around the front view. So I can go ahead and expand that, and you'll see breakout section 2, and this specifies the one in the front view. To edit, I can simply right click, and then I have two edit options. The first is edit definition, and the second is edit sketch. I would like to edit sketch, so I'll go ahead and select that. And now I can simply click on the sketch and then change the orientation of it. So I wanted it to be a bit higher, and I also wanted to go a bit to the left. And this is good, so I'll go ahead and click OK and then rebuild. And here is my new breakout section. The second type of edit we have is to edit the definition. So let's go ahead and try this real quick with the isometric view. The isometric view is view number 3. So I'll expand that. Right click on Breakout Section 1, edit definition, and now I can change how I define the depth of that breakout section. So it's currently at 50. Let's assume I want to have it as 40. So I can change that and then click OK. And by that we have changed the depth of that breakout section. And by this we conclude this lecture on breakout sections. While we're here, you can go ahead and experiment with creating more of those sections. In this lecture, we're going to explore break views. Break views allow us to view a large part clearly in a smaller sized drawing sheet. Using break views, we can go from the drawing on the left to the drawings on the right. To illustrate how to create a break view, we will create one for the following model. This model is of a simple pipe. However, this pipe is relatively long compared to its diameter. So let's go ahead and see how would that look like in a drawing sheet and how we can utilize break views for a better representation. As usual, I'll start by opening a drawings file. And then I'll go to my views. And I will insert a front view and a side view. To create a break view, we can simply go to the view layout and select break view. And when I do that, SOLIDWORKS will prompt me to select a specific view to apply the break to. So I'm going to select the front view for now. And then we will get the break view settings on the left. And there are very few options here. The first option asks us to choose if we want a horizontal or a vertical break. And we're going to start with the first one, which is the vertical break. So if I go to my front view, you will notice a line pops up in my front view. And this line is vertical, which is what we selected from the setting. To apply the break view, I can simply insert this line in two different locations. So I want my first line here, and then my second line here. And those two lines are called break lines. And whatever between the two lines we input will disappear from the drawing. And those two break lines will tell us that whatever is between those two lines is just a uniform continuation of the model itself. In this case, it's a uniform continuation of the pipe we have at hand. And now I can click on the green check mark. And that's it. We have just created our first break view. Let's go ahead and do another one. However, this time it's going to be a horizontal break. So I'll go back to break views and then select the other option for horizontal breaks. And then I'll apply my other break. So I want one line here, another line here, and click on the green check mark. And that's it. I just made my second break line. Notice I have the break for the front view only, and this break did not show on the side view. To have the same break on the side projected view, I can follow one of two ways. The first way is to separately add a break view to that drawing view. So I can go to break views again, select my side view, go to horizontal, and then I can randomly add two lines to my view and then click on OK. Now notice my break lines for this side view became an actual exact match to the front view I had. And this usually happens by default. If it doesn't happen with you, you can right click, go to properties, and make sure that this option that says align breaks with parent is checked on. The other way to have a side view with a break is to simply create a new projected view from the parent. So if I click on the front view and select projected views and then insert a side view, you will notice that the new side view will have the exact same break lines by default. Now I don't really need two of those, so I'll go ahead and delete the one I just inserted. After the breaks, we can see that the drawing became much smaller. This means we can enlarge the scale to have a better drawing fit to our sheet. So I'll go ahead and change the scale into 1:1. Somehow the scale for the side view didn't change, so I'll go ahead and see what happened. It is set to use sheet scale, so I'll go ahead and change that to parent scale. However, I can still see that I have an issue with the alignment of this side view I created. And unfortunately, I would say this is a glitch in SOLIDWORKS and it could happen to you. So to address that, you can simply right click, go to alignments, and then select default alignment. And this will bring it back to align properly with the front view. Now those views are quite big, which brings us to our next topic, which is modifying a break. Modifying a break is quite easy. If you want to make a break bigger or smaller, you can simply drag it to the direction you want. So I can click on this break section here and then drag it to the right, and drag this one to the left, and then I can drag this up and I drag the other one down, and this will automatically adjust the break. And now thanks to that, we were able to fit our drawing perfectly in this sheet. Keep in mind that there are no specific right or wrong ways of where the break line should be and how much to break from the model. It all depends on you as a designer or as a draftsman. Now let's explore the additional options we have with break views. If I click on a break line, the break options will show on the left side. Those will allow us to adjust the gap size and the break line style. Currently the gap size is set to 10 millimeters. If we change it, you'll immediately notice the change in the drawing. However, I like it at 10, so I'll go ahead and return it to that. Coming to the break line style, SOLIDWORKS does provide you with few options, standard ones, to choose from of how you want the break line to look like. Currently it's set to zigzag cut, but I can change it to one of the different ones that are shown here. For this example, I'm going to select the small zigzag cut. So if I click on that, you'll notice that those change in this specific drawing view. When you do that, keep in mind that if you want to change the style in other views, you'll have to change it separately as well. How about deleting a break view? I can remove a break view in two ways. The first way is to right click on the view and then select the option Unbreak View. So let's try that out. And when you do that, this will remove all the breaks in that specific drawing. I don't really want to do that, so I'll go ahead and go to undo. And now we're back. The other option of removing a break is to simply select the break and then click on delete in your keyboard. And then click yes. This will only delete the specific break we selected. Again, let me go back to return the model to how it was. One last thing to note is dimensions. So let me go ahead and start dimensioning this drawing. I'll first create a center line and then go to model items, select entire model, and then click OK. Now those dimensions shown in the drawing are the real dimensions from the model, and the breaks do not have an effect on those displayed dimensions. So regardless whether we have a break or not, this 450 and this 200 will remain the same. Before we conclude this lecture, let's note that break views are mostly used with orthographic views and not with isometric ones. And with this, we conclude this lecture. So while we're here, you can go ahead and experiment a bit more with break views. In this lecture, we're going to explore detail views. Detail views allow us to enlarge a part of a drawing view to clearly show small details. It goes like this. To illustrate detail views, we will use them in this drawing. If we look closely at the hexagonal cut of the part, we'll see some small details in there. Let's see how we can present those details more clearly in a drawing. You can download both the part and the drawing from the download section linked to this lecture. We're going to start by importing the dimensions to this drawing. So I'll go to model items, select the entire model, and then click OK. And now all our dimensions are displayed in the drawing. If we take a closer look at the middle of the hexagonal, we'll see two dimensions that are more or less crammed toward the middle and pointing towards small details. Those are the 1 and 1.5 millimeters. So this is a good place to use a detail view. So I'll go ahead and delete those two dimensions since they are just crammed in there and look very ugly. Now to create a detail view, I can simply go to View Layout and select Detail View. As soon as we select that, SOLIDWORKS will prompt us to draw a circle. You can think of the circle as your lens to enlarge a specific spot. So I'll go ahead and draw this in the middle of my hexagonal. And by this, we have created our first detail view. I can go ahead and drop it anywhere, so I'll drop it here. And that's it. Now I can see that the resulting detail view is larger than the original. However, it is still kind of small. To enlarge it further, we can click on it and adjust the drawing scale just like how we do it in a normal drawing view. So I'll go to the drawing scale and select a scale of 5:1. Okay, now that's a bit better. Now let me go ahead and import my dimensions into that detail view. Looking into my detail view again, I think it shows too little of the model, So to adjust how much the view shows, we can simply drag the circle to enlarge the lens. So if I click on the circle for my detail view and then drag it to the right, you'll notice the detail view gets bigger and then it shows more of the model. Now there are a few options that are good for us to note here that accompany detail views, and those are mostly aesthetic. So if I click on the detail view, I'll have some options popping up on the left side. The first is for style, and if we open the drop-down menu, we'll see different styles to show our view. For our drawing, I would like my lens or circle to be with a leader. So I'll go ahead and select that. And now you see a leader have popped up to indicate the name of the detail view. You can take some time to check out the other styles. Below the style, we have an option to rename the view. So I'll go ahead and change the name into hex. And you'll see both the name and the scale pop up below the detail view we created. One last option that might be good for us is the outlining option. So if I go back to my options and under detail view, you will see different options for different outlines. So if I click on full outline, a full circle will be displayed around my detailed view. If I clicked on the jagged outlines, I will see breaks where the model continues towards its bigger form. I don't really want those jagged outline, however, I will leave the full outline. In case you would like to delete a detail view, you can simply right-click and select the option Delete. Or another shortcut is to just select the view and press Delete in your keyboard. One last thing to note with detail views is that we can also create them with isometric views, section views, exploded assembly views, and or other detail views. And with this note, we conclude this lecture on detail views. So while we're here, you can go ahead and experiment with creating more of them. In this lecture, we're going to explore alternate position views. Alternate position views help us illustrate the range of movements within an assembly. For example, if we look at this assembly, you can see the movement in here in the assembly file. However, in a drawing file or in a printed drawing page, we cannot move the model. This is what makes alternate position views important. Using alternate position views, we can go from the drawing on the left to the one on the right. To illustrate alternate position views, we're going to complete the following task. Our boss just gave us this drawing and asked us to find the angle between the maximum and minimum position of the post handle, utilizing configurations she already set for us. To complete this task, we're going to use alternate position views. You can download the parts, assembly file, and the drawing from the download section linked to this lecture. To create alternate position views, we can go to the view layout and select alternate position view. Once we select it, SOLIDWORKS will prompt us to select one of the drawing views we have. So I'm going to select this front view. Now, there are two ways to identify the alternate position view. The first is by creating a new configuration, and the second is by using an existing configuration. To complete our task, we will use existing configurations that were set for us. So if I select this existing configuration options, I will see a couple of configurations listed in there. One is named max angle, and the second is named min angle. Those two configurations were set up already by the person who made the assembly. So let's select the max angle and click OK. You will see that the max angle position is already shown in that front view. And this is simply how we create an alternate position view. Let's do the same now, however, for the minimum angle position. So I'll go to View Layout, select Alternate Position View, select my view, go to Existing Configurations and select Minimum Angle, and then click OK. Now we also have the position with the minimum angle displayed in the drawing. To find the angle between the maximum and minimum positions, we can simply use Smart Dimensions. So if I go to Annotations, and then I can select Smart Dimension, and then simply select the two lines I want to find the angle between. So the angle between the minimum and maximum is 175.57 degrees. And this completes the task our boss gave us. Let's try out the other option of setting an alternate position view using a new configuration. So I'll exit Smart Dimension, go to View Layout again, and select Alternate Position View, and then select the front view again. However, this time, I'm going to select New Configuration. And I have the option of naming it, so I'll go ahead and name it as Test. And then click OK. And this will automatically open the actual assembly file. And what we are basically asked to do is to set up the new configuration we want. So I can simply set that by manually moving the handle post to the position I want to show. So let's say I want to show this position here. And so now this position will be our alternate position view for our drawing. You can also go more precise by setting up new assembly mates for a specific position. However, for our demo, we'll be settled with this manual positioning. So let's go ahead and click OK. Now we can see that alternate position was already made and added to the drawing we have. If you would like to delete an alternate position view, you can simply go to that drawing, select it, and then select Delete in your keyboard. Then click OK. After that, you will notice it's still there, so I'll go ahead and select Refresh or Rebuild. And this simply deletes that alternate position view we had. How about editing an alternative position view? If you would like to change the position of an existing alternate position view, you will have to change it through the assembly itself by modifying the existing configurations. However, another option will be to simply create another new alternate position view, and this could be a lot easier many of the times. From the drawing itself, the only adjustment we can do is to hide the alternate position view. So if I right click on my alternative position view and show more options, you will see the option Hide. If I click on it, that position will be hidden. To show the view back, you can look for it in the design tree. So here in the design tree, if I expand drawing view 5, which is the front view, you will see the alternate position view hidden. I can simply right click on it and select Show, and this will show it back. And with this, we conclude this lecture on alternate position views. So while we're here, you can experiment a bit more with creating more of those views.